And it looks like we are now live, and we say shalom
Shalom.
to those who joined us so far here in our dwelling place in the United States, our small little kingdom, state called Florida, the city that's known as Miami. We welcome you. We welcome you with the word shalom in Hebrew, which is peace in Hebrew. Now, shalom, because shalom is speaking to you right now. I'm Shalom. I'm your host for this testimony, revelation that we're going to reveal today, as we always do. These are the last days. And although I'm not being recognized by the world right now, I will be later with no choice. There are many false prophets and religions that are being run by false prophets, being ruled and led by false prophets. There are a lot of clergies on this planet, even here on this social media's website that's known as YouTube. And they come on with all type of theological philosophies of when the Christ is going to return. Not realizing that the Christ is here. This is not a competition. I'm not in competition with anyone else that wants to be the Christ. They have that right. However, to those who are watching, even those that follow this Greek god, the son of the Greek god, the Greek god's name is Ezus. Actually, the Greek god's name is Zeus. Zeus, that's the Greek god's name. And the son of the Greek god, Zeus, is called Ezus. Son of Zeus, Ezus, son of. And in Spanish, it's known as Jesus, spelled the same way as Jesus, as Jesus in English. For those who are looking for that Christ to come, he's false. He is not coming. And neither are those paintings that they painted throughout the centuries of a white European Anglo-Saxon man with blonde hair or brown, whatever color that they choose to put on the painting, or whoever they use as a model of the terrestrial level, of the beasts of the field. And eyes, whatever choose they have their right to color his eyes or whatever color eyes he may have. Whatever color complexion of his skin other than white, even dark, European or Hebrew, they are not the Christ. Anyone comes to that name that was created, euphemized from Yahshua, is not the Christ. Now, if they profess to be the Christ, then they must do everything that the Christ promised to do. They must also lose all 404 verses of the book called Revelation. All 404 verses of Revelation. They must be able to decipher and loose those verses, as well as the seals of Daniel and the 7 seals of the book called Micah. I'm also known in the Bible as Micah the Morthite. That is who I am. When you do your study, you're going to discover that Micah is the same in the Bible is known as the Christ of the Old Testament and the New Testament. Micah is the Messiah of the Old Testament, also known in the Old Testament as Joshua. Joshua led the children of Israel across the Jordan, over the Jordan River, into Jordan, into their homeland. Anyone who leads the nation of Israel into another land is called the Messiah. He's the Messiah, not Moshe. Moses did not do that. And who you call God did not do that. The Lord of the universe did not do that. The mighty God did not do that. If that was the case today, then you would be in your own land, Judah, if you're watching this. You'd be right now in your own land, the Middle East, and not in the United States of America. My father did not deliver you. My father is known to you as, I quote in English, Yahweh ben Yahweh. That's who my father is, but he is not Yahweh ben Yahweh. Yahweh in English is a tetragrammaton that consists of 3 Hebrew characters. And one of the 3 is positioned twice. That was then translated into English to present the English characters from right to left. YHWH. W. And then, of course, the H is positioned twice. So you have YHWH. In Hebrew characters, they're known as Yod He Wab He. Yod He Wab He. Now, this tetragrammaton was divided into half. For the first time, when my father came for the first time in 1979 to Miami, Florida. He was the first to come. Although we descended down together 19 years apart, he was the first to come to Miami. So he was known as Yod He. Now, we're going to go to that, but before we do, let's, for the sake of the recording, we are now in the fifth day of the 11th month of our solar calendar, solar year 6025. Again, we are in the fifth day of the 11th month of our solar Hebrew celestial calendar, the year 6025. We as Hebrews of and from the special lodge, even those of Israel, the 12 tribes, we do not recognize the calendar of the Greeks or the Romans or the English or Pope Gregory XIII. We do not recognize that calendar. In fact, that calendar recognizes us as Hebrew. In the before the 9th century, the Romans recognized our calendar. And for example, if you look at December in your dictionaries, then you go to a very good dictionary and you will see that December, D-E-C-E-M, means 10. You will also discover, if you look deep down to the etymology of the dictionary and the meaning of December, you would discover, if they admit, and they should, that December was once known as the 10th month of the Roman calendar. The 10th month of the Roman calendar. That means Novem means 9. But that's without the B-E-R. Now, these 4 months, September, October, November, December, without the B-E-R, the birth error, the bit error rate. The B-E-R is known as the bit error rate. B-E-R, the bit error rate. I said that so you can write it down and study it. When you do, in fact, they may not have that. They may not have the study tools. We're going to help them out in a moment. But before we do this, let me finish the date of this recording and day. Today is known also as our first day of the week. We are now in our first day of the week. Our Sabbath, our Shabbat, our Sabbath is recognized until March from sundown Thursday to sundown Friday. That's our Sabbath day. It rotates. Our Sabbath day rotates every year. Our Sabbath day rotates. This year, for what's remaining of this year, 6025, our Shabbat, our Sabbath day, is being recognized from sundown Thursday to sundown Friday. And now that we are 12 o'clock in the next day in the afternoon, according to their clocks, we are now in the first day of our week. This day, according to the calendar, is known as Saturday. This is our first day of our calendar week of Hebrew celestial. However, according to the Gregorian calendar, today, Saturday, is known as January the 14th, 2023, according to that calendar. Again, the date is Saturday, January 14th, 2023. And that means that proceeds Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th, which is a day that they do not like very much on this planet. I don't know why. There must be something of 13. Anyway, with that said, that's for the sake of the recording. Now we know when this is being recorded, so that whoever comes after me and after I reveal this will also be magnified as being false. They're already false, but they would be magnified as being false prophets and false shepherds. Again, I remind those who are on YouTube and who surfs YouTube and the theological sections, such as where they would place this as theological, biblical. There's no such God or deity in existence as Jesus. He does not exist. So he is not coming soon. And whoever say he's coming soon are putting you in a delusion. They're building your hopes up to be disappointed. But I will say that the Christ of the Hebrews, of the God of the Hebrews, he is here. And as we go back a moment, now I mentioned we're going to go to that, the Tetragrammaton. You should know his name. And the world has been led to believe for hundreds of years that the Tetragrammaton is God's name, the God of the Hebrews is not. With that said, again, today is Saturday, January 14th, 2023. Now, I'm going to ask you to take out something to write with, something to write on. Take out your King James Version Holy Bible to follow us. I'm not entertaining. I'm not on YouTube to entertain you. If you look at me to see if you can figure me out. And I know there's going to be a few views, not many. I'm not going to get as many views as I would Tupac Shakur of changes. If I was Tupac Shakur, who come back from the dead, and was to record something called Changes, I knew I would get about 341 million views right away. 341 views right away. If I was Marie Presley, who came on and said they made an error that I died, then before an hour is up, I know I would get at least 20 million, minimum 20 million views, until word gets around to at least 80 million views. Because if you remember, it'll only be like an hour after my announcement as Marie Presley that I'm not dead. They made an error. I was only in a deep coma. But since I'm not Tupac Shakur, Michael Jackass, or Marie, her husband, Marie, his wife, Presley, then I'm probably only going to get about 30 views in about 5 days. Why? Because that's the way it is. That's just the way it is. Right, Tupac? The title of this testimony today is, and I quote, "Let's straighten it out." Let's straighten it out. That's the title of this testimony today. And those who from the old school, right away, my people who are known as African Americans, Judah, same tribe, that was taken captive, placed in bondage here in this land of the United States. Those who heard that title, right away, the old school may have thought of Lattimore. And I'm not going to call the first name because he's not here to defend himself. But when they hear "let's straighten it out," the first person they think of is Lattimore, right? Sit yourself down, girl, and talk to me, right? Tell me what's on your mind. You've been crying in your sleep lately, sitting around all day, and you don't even ease your mind. Now, if you're tired, you don't want to be bothered, baby, then say the word and I'll leave you alone. But instead of sitting out crying with your eyes out, me and you ought to be getting it on. And we should also get along. So let's straighten it out. And today I'm going to straighten it out. I'm going to straighten it out, baby. Me and you. Now, if you know anything of the Christ, then you should know that Mika, that he's full of sports. The Christ at one time was also known as Shimshon in Hebrew. You know it as Samson. My father created a book that was called The Mighty Man. The Mighty Man. Is that right?
Yeah.
The Mighty Man. Also known as the son, Shimshon. So with that said, and now that I've introduced myself, and we're going to straighten it out. Grab your King James Version Bible, like I mentioned. You should have that. Your Strong's Concordance. You may have a dictionary. Grab that. You already have your tablet and your ink pen to take notes. That way you can prove to your pastors in the church tomorrow that Jesus does not exist and that the Christ is already here. Because, again, if you're going to look for the Christ in an ad, or you're going looking for him and you search for your salvation, then you must find the one who can loose the seals and who can teach you things that was never taught before in whatever idiom that there is. I do speak other languages, but I'm not speaking to my other language people, speaking to Judah. And right now, Judah speaks English Creole because they were spoiled from the Hebrew language and they adopted and learned the language of their slave masters, which is English. Now, that means I'm speaking to my Hebrew people in a strange tongue as I promised I would. And I believe it's Isaiah chapter 28 or somewhere around there. I was speaking a strange tongue with stammering lips. Well, this is a strange tongue. That's proven in Deuteronomy chapter 28. Now that we have the Bible, before we go and explain the Tetragrammaton, let's prove that. Go to Deuteronomy chapter 28. We're going to assist those who have a Bible. If you look over my head, the monitor on the screen is going to help you with the Bible that we're going to furnish for you. So go to Deuteronomy 28, and I believe it's somewhere around 43. I'm going to go with you. I have a Bible in front of me. You're going to read verse 41 first.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 41.
Mm-hmm.
Quote, "Thou shalt beget sons and daughters."
Now, this, you know who is speaking to here. This is the God of the Hebrews speaking to the tribe, all of Israel, but in particular, the ruling tribe, those responsible for the other 11. And that would be Judah. He's speaking to Judah. And he's warning them if they did not do what they're supposed to, from verses 1, actually verses 2 through 14, to obey the commandments and obey the voice. If they did not do that, then they'll be punished for it. You're reading some of the punishment. And what else it says?
"But thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity."
Now, the only people in the history of this world who had children they were not able to enjoy because the state would even take them away from them today are the so-called Negro slaves or African Americans today by identification and Social Security number of the United States government, de facto. They're the only people in the history of this world that were taken captive, that had children they were not able to enjoy. They were taken away from them. Again, even today, it's called a state. Department of Children and Families. You beat them unconditionally, or you mistreat them, then the state will come and take them away from you. Just as promised that you're reading. But opposed to the state today, it was England yesterday that was first led by Sir John Hawkins, the Queen's naval lieutenant, who was knighted by Queen Elizabeth to go and get those people that disobeyed their God's commandment and didn't hear his voice. So let's go get their children that they were not enjoyed and let's put them into captivity. They called it slavery. A perfect example of a monument of that would be located right now in Washington, D.C., right down next to the Washington Memorial. That they have a monument there. You can go down, you can go down the dungeon, and you can see a lot of memories, memorial photos, pictures, paintings of Negro slaves. Us, our people. Judah, Yehudah in Hebrew. Now, what's the next verse?
42.
42.
"All thy trees and fruit of thy land shall the locust consume."
That's a curse. I mean, you would have, even though you were fortunate to have a piece of property today that you can grow a mango tree on it, or orange tree, or apple tree, a pecan tree. It's not going to be much of a blessing to you if you continue doing what you're doing and disobeying the voice of the Lord, who you call the Lord. I'm reminding you of the punishment. It's still in progress. It's still in effect. Next verse. Read on.
43.
Mhm.
The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high.
Why stranger? Because you do not know these people with this type of face, with this confidence, this white confidence, complexion, a fierce confidence of their face. You used to watching and looking in your homeland at black faces, dark complexion people. You see a white complexion face come to you, you run. You wonder if they have leprosy, because that's also a law. It's a disease, leprosy. So what else it says?
And thou shalt come down very low. Verse 44.
44. I mean, you're down low. You're so down. You're down so low now until you don't have any food, clothing, shelter. Some are living in boxes on the sidewalk. Some are living in shopping carts. You put two shopping carts together, you have a bedroom, or you have a living room. The one shopping cart is a bedroom, the other shopping cart is a living room, and then you invite somebody to come in and walk in by. How you invite them? By asking for money. You're begging because you came down low. You have a family, but they don't want you. Why? Because you came down low. You're so low you can't even support them. They don't want you to be a part of them. That's how low you are. The Jews did not go into captivity of the Holocaust. No, they're not only that, they're Esau. They're not of Yehuda, they're not Judah. So there's no other group of people that have been in slavery or was taken captive and put on ships and taken to a strange land other than their own, except the so-called African Americans today, the Negro, the colored people. I'm here for them. They are my people. But you see what happened to them before I came to get them? Read verse 44 again. A little.
Let me go back up to 43.
Go back up to 43 and read that over again.
The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low.
Very high. As high as they can go. Washington, D.C., called the President of the United States and the Vice President, everything that falls under them, all the way down to the governor of the state, the mayor of the county, and the mayor of the city, and your congressmen and senators up above you, very high. And here you are, very low, and you so low, you come so low until you want to vote for them. But I'm here to straighten it out. Let's straighten it out. Verse 44.
He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail.
Verse 45.
Moreover, all these curses.
How many curses?
All these.
You have to. You know how many curses that is? These curses start from verse 16. And then they ended at verse 68. This chapter is the longest chapter in the book called Deuteronomy. That means you have the longest curses. And your curse is still prolonging right now because you refuse to obey the voice. This is the same voice that's crying in the wilderness. And you refuse to obey it. Read on. What else?
And shall pursue thee and overtake thee.
Until when?
Till thou be destroyed.
Why?
Because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
This is the voice of the Lord thy God, not the Lord's voice.
Right.
He tried that. He didn't try it. He did it.
Mm-hmm.
The Lord's own voice cried to you in Miami, Florida for years, from 1979 to 1990, in your face. And then from 1990 until 2007 on your recordings and books. That was his own voice, his own handwriting. And you still ignored it. You still think he's the son. If he's the son, you fools, then where is he today to deliver you? And that means the Christians and those who are false Christ, the false Christians and clergy of the world, they gave you a delusion. They gave you false hope, making you think in your spiritual mind, your dead spiritual mind, that the same one who you're calling today, Yahweh ben Yahweh, is going to come back for you, just as he was when he left.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't believe in the Son. You think he's the Son. And he told you, I have to make an emphasis on this and reiterate just one more again. They even told them before he left that he's Yahweh, since you want to mention the word Yahweh, that he's Yahweh. He also put his pen signature on all his books in the front. Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, Beth No-Sopheh Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, because he's writing for two. He's writing for the Son, the Father, and the Son. Mostly for the Son. Do you know why he was writing for the Son? Because in 1992, the Son wrote to them. And then the Son revealed the secrets too early. So the persons and people who were in charge of the Peace Foundation back in the days decided to put the Son out. And when they put the Son out, they took the book that he wrote to them off the shelf, out the market. They does not become a market. And because they took the book out the shelf, out the market, to the for the publics at large, then my father started writing books for the Son, for me. He started writing for me, and he thought he was writing for himself. He told you to come to Yahweh Ben Yahweh. How could he tell you to come to Yote Wafe, Beth Nusravi to Wafi, and in parentheses he put Yahweh Ben Yahweh, come to Yahweh Ben Yahweh, if he's not here for you to come to him physically? How could you come to him physically if he's not here? Because you think he's going to come to you as a ghost. He's going to walk through your wall. Although he's God, he has the power to do whatever he'd like to do. But who you thought you knew, you did not know. And he even left a word, a recording, and told you, if you think you're going to see him as he is, you are sadly mistaken. He's just not the man you thought he was. You are sadly mistaken. The recent verse 45. Because thou hearkenest not to the voice of the Lord thy God. Now, it's the voice of him. This same voice is the one crying in the wilderness right now, straightening it out. Read the next line. To
keep his commandments and his statutes, which he commanded thee.
46.
And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever.
Now, I don't know who has a calendar, but you who are watching this video or watching the live stream, if you have a calendar, I know you have one that says January 1st, 2023. But if you can go back, even if you have to go online, I'd like for you to go to the calendar, go online, look for a calendar that tells me what date or day forever ended. If not forever, then at least look up ever. See what day ever ended, and then look up for. Because I see here, you just read that you're supposed to be doing some commandments or obeying them forever.
Yeah.
Okay, as a sign, the seed forever. Now you got to find out who ever is. Because ever is also a being. Verse 47.
But thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness.
That's why. And what?
And with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things. Verse
48. Now you're going to read verse 48. And you're going to admit to yourself when you read this, if you be in a righteous and moral spirit of mind, you're going to discover that no one has ever experienced this in the history of this world. But you're about to read, no other nation on this planet in the history of this world went through this and endured this. Read verse 48.
Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee.
Who sent them? It says the Queen Elizabeth.
The Lord.
No, you got to read that correctly. We are depending on you to read this correctly. You don't have Queen Elizabeth in your Bible in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 48, King James Version?
The Lord.
The Lord shall what?
Shall send against thee.
So the Lord sent Sir John Hawkins. And it was not Queen Elizabeth. He only used her command. He used her. She was used. You think she was used by her husband? Our God used her. Why? Because she belonged to him. He created her. He used her like a puppet on a string. Even a ventriloquist, and made her mouth move. See, her mouth was moving, but he was talking. In her mind, to Sir John Hawkins, to Johnny. Johnny, go get him. And how did he go get him?
Go get him.
Go get him. How did he go get him? He greeted him. Shalom. Shalom. But he didn't really say shalom. So you don't know that because it's too far back. But I was there. He said shalom. They are afraid of shalom. They know since the Bible was transliterated from they know who shalom is. Micah chapter 5, verse 5. So they said shalom because the Hebrews knew. And those elders knew the difference from shalom and shalom. They know Wab was in the middle of shalom. They know Wab's got to be there for shalom, but Wab is not there for shalom. And he would not dare say shalom because he know Wab would come and stop him from doing what he was doing. that 6-foot angel, right? Michael. So he said shalom to them. And they still looked around to make sure shalom was not there. The wall. And then when he did that, and the Lord sent him against thee, and what? And hunger?
In hunger.
And what else?
And in thirst. And in nakedness.
That's called a dearth. DEARTH. You can write that down and study it. Just spell earth and put a D in front of earth, and that's what they were experiencing back in those days when that happened. Back in the 16th century, living in somebody else's land, their cousin's land, in North Africa, North Central Africa, near Egypt, living with the Hamites. That's where Judah was hiding. Why? Because the Romans invaded their land in 70 AD. And the Romans today call themselves today Jews. Huh? The Edomites, the Jews, invaded the land and took it over. They made all of the people over in the Middle East today, in Gaza, Tel Aviv, Bethlehem, Ephrata, all of those, Jerusalem, all of Israel, all of those in all those lands of Israel, all 12 territories, all of them are false. They do not belong in their land except the 10 tribes that are hiding among them. They're still over in the Middle East. But those who call themselves Jews are not. Those who are Israelis are not. That's why they're Israelis. That's why they take on the title of Israeli, Israelite. They are Israelite, not an Israelite. Where the light shines in the minds of people of Israel. They are a lie. The word Jew, when you look up, the word Jew comes from the English word Judah. And we're reading right now of Judah. If that pertains to those in the Middle East who call themselves Israelis as Jews, then how come they don't have what you're going to read now? Place to put. Read on the rest of that.
And in want of all things.
And what? All right.
And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed.
There is not one so-called Jew in the Middle East or Miami Beach or California or New York or any place in Chicago. There's not one Jew that wears a black hat with curly sideburns on this side of the head or a piece of black pancake over the head. There's not one Jew, man, woman, or child, none, with that color skin that has ever been taken captive by having a yoke of iron plates around their neck and destroyed and went to a strange land. There's not one Jew that went from Israel or brought to the United States today, unless they traveled with a passport on an airliner, commercial airliner jet, and they were not taken captive. They chose to come. Free will. Read verse 49. Who did that?
Verse 49. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand.
Now, they were speaking Hebrew. Judah and all of Israel. Hebrew. Some still speak Hebrew. And some write in Hebraic. But they think that's the original language. It's not. We have the original language of Hebrew. But they spoke Hebrew, not English. Right? There's a difference from our Father which art in heaven, opposed to Abenu Sheba Shemaya. There's a difference. And because they spoke Hebrew, when the English man came and put them into captivity and bondage with a chain or real yoke around their neck and on their hands and feet, their wrists and feet, they were not able to understand a word he was saying. Sign language was invented in their minds to tell them what to do, to show them what to do, and then say it. Say go, point your finger, go. Come, go. That's how they learn, right? No more. See, no more. That's English Creole, no more. Not no more. He may have said more, but they couldn't say more because it was a strange language to them. So as close as they can get to more, no more, no more. Close the door, close the door. Close the door. No, the door is a female deer. Close the door. No. Close the door. Close the door. Door? Yeah, door. Door. No, you're not going to get it. You're not going to get it. All right, get off the floor. Get off the floor. Sweep the floor. Sweep the floor. Sweep the floor. The flow? No, not the water flow. The floor. Get off the floor, sweep the floor, clean the floor, mop the floor. Yeah, boss, mop the floor. No. Exhausted teacher, though. Way over there. He went way over there. What's a way over there? And then after he went way over there, he ran back. He ran. I ran way over. I ran that way. He ran that way and I ran that way. This way. We both ran. What you mean you ran? Where'd you rant to? Way over there? Over yonder? That's what we did, right, Massa? Massa. No, don't say Massa. It's master. Say master. Say it out. Massa. Oh, that's it. I'm having a hard time with this nigga. I'm having a hard time with this nigga. I say master. Say master. Yesm, boss. Who's Yesm? That's your niece name, not Yesm. Yezamel. No, yes, ma'am. Say yes, ma'am. Not Yezamel. Not Yezamel. That's your aunt's niece. Not Yezamel. Yezamel. Say yes, ma'am. Yezamel. God, this. Okay, try massa. Say master again. Massa. No. Master. Say master. Mazza. Mazza boss. Yeah, nigga Charlie gonna be master boss. No, you just got that all better. I'm exhausted by time. Read it. Verse 49. Read it.
The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand.
Right, boss. You want to go? You won't get him. You want me to get him? You want me to catch him? You want me to catch him? You want me to catch him? Way over there, tornado came, my man. I tell you, I chunked that rock over there, boy. When I chunked that rock at that nigga, boy, I knew I was gonna hit him right side of the head, boy. I crack him up skull. Yeah, I told that. I tell you, you better get out my face. Boy, I tell you, I'll knock the hell out of you. You don't know who you messing with, boy. I tell you, I'm a fighter. My pappy told me that don't let no one take advantage of me. I'm nigga Charlie. I'm like a James Brown, boy. I put some funk in your face. You mess with me, say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. Papa don't take no mess. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm nigga Charlie. What color you, nigga Charlie? Read verse 50.
A nation of fierce countenance, which
nigga Charlie coming in the door. He come right in the door. Tell that nigga Charlie not today. Don't come in no door. No more. That means he must be heard this countenance coming. And what's it say?
Which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young.
That means there's no favoritism. If the old young babies, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. The emphasis that we're making here is the language and the continents. There's no such thing as no white Jesus.
Right.
Don't exist.
Exactly.
The Christ of the Hebrews is a black, brown skin complexion man. The Bible, the prophets say he's gonna be bronze skin complexion. Bronze, not even brown. Bronze, like fine brass. Like fine brass. That's in all of Revelation chapter. That's in Revelation chapter 19, 16. It's all in there. Eyes. Right? Right. So with that proven, I think we've proved our point.
Yeah.
Okay. So for all of you who are looking for Jesus, find another shopping mall to go to. Because the one you're looking for, that man is closed. Out of business. You got that? Okay. Now let's go back to Psalm chapter 68 for a moment. Speaking of strange, before you do that though, Let's prove this. Is that Isaiah 28?
Snapping the lips.
Yeah. Go to Isaiah. Let's show the results of Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 48. Right?
49.
49.
Yeah, the strangest tongue.
Strange tongue, Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 49. Let's see what that's happened today. Why am I speaking this language today? Right. What verse would that be?
Verse 11 in Isaiah 28, 11.
Isaiah chapter 28 and verse 11.
Quote,
Mm-hmm.
for with stammering lips.
I believe you should start before this, so they'll get the foundation.
Okay.
Read verse 9. Start at verse
Yeah,
9.
verse 9. Isaiah chapter 28, verse 9, quote, whom shall he teach knowledge?
That's the question. Now, when he teach, he would have taught. Got it? When he teach, he would have taught. And once he taught, the result should be those he taught should have learned. Right? But the question is, whom should he teach knowledge? The answer is those who don't have the knowledge. That means those who do not have the knowledge because they were destroyed for the lack of knowledge did not obey the voice of the Lord. Even those who are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breasts. Read that. Whom should he teach knowledge? That's a question. I just answered it. Those who don't have the knowledge. And what?
And whom shall he make to understand doctrine?
Those who do not understand the doctrine. And they thought they gave you an answer, but no one knows how to straighten it out. So let's straighten it out. Read what they said. Read what they thought was the answer, because they don't know who them is.
Right.
They see when they put them, they added them too.
Mm-hmm.
They put them. That's general. So they didn't put those of the children of Israel, the tribe of Judah. They put them. There's no E in Hebrew.
Right.
That's why I can take their them and turn it right back to me to teach my house. That's hidden inside of them. Yeah. THEM from right to left is me, ME, and you have TH, what? The house of Israel. Me of the house, the TH, just like the GH, God's house. Remember that. You should write it down. GH means God's house. And TH means the house, or you can put true house. That's the H. That's the T with the H, the G with the H. We're going to go to the H in a few minutes or seconds. So I want you to write down on your notes, GH. God's house. Each letter is scientifically a word. God's house. And that's some of the doctrine. Them that what?
Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast.
Okay. For what? In verse 10.
Their precept must be upon precept.
See, that's the precepts. GHTHME, them. You thought of them. That's me with the truth. The house. And who else?
Precept upon precept. Line upon line. Line upon line.
Mm-hmm.
Here a little and there a little.
Now, when I do that line upon line, there's a reason why verse 10 says that. If verse 11 did not ensue, if I was speaking Hebrew, I would not have to go line upon line and here a little and there a little. I could just go right out and say it, because they will understand the doctrine and they will understand the knowledge. You got it? It would be simple. I speak Hebrew, their native language, and wouldn't have to go over. Do you understand? Do you comprehend what I'm saying? I wouldn't have to keep saying, do you? And they was not on. Okay, now I got to do that again. Let me break it down for you in the precept. Let me break it down for you some more. Now, do you understand? Not quite. Okay, let's do it again. Now, that would take care of precept upon precept upon precept Don't you see precept there 4 times?
Mhm.
Hmm?
Yeah.
And then which each 4 times the foundation. That's the foundation. I count 1, 2, 3, 4 precept. That's the foundation. Once I do the foundation, then I have the lines. Then I can build up the knowledge and teach you from that to become wise.
Mhm.
But I can't do it in Hebrew. The next verse tell you how to do it. Verse 11, how?
For with stammering lips and another tongue will he speak to this people.
You got it? Now you got this people instead of them.
Right. Right.
See, them and this people are the same. Right? Because me is with the people.
Mhm.
That's THIS.
Mhm.
Okay, that's is. The same house. I'm with them, with me. Them. Got it? That's them. Them with me. They is the house of Israel, the tribe of Judah, the people. To whom in verse 12 what?
To whom he said,
This is the rest wherewith ye may cause the weary to rest. And this is the refreshing, yet they would not hear as I come on live. They would not hear. A disobedient people. Now you know this tongue is strange, but I'm going to speak it. And I may not pronounce some of their words that they created, but I sure can create the words and make mine sound right. I can pronounce the words that I created, but I may not be able to pronounce some of the words that they created.
Mhm.
So my lips may stammer once in a while. Let me give you an example. Let's straighten it out. Let's straighten it out. Write down on I gave you a, now if you're watching, join us in this exercise. It is a writing exercise. Find something to write with, as I asked you to do so at the beginning, during the benediction of this testimony, this revelation. Write down on a piece of paper, a card, index card, write down the word straight. Straight. Now, if you graduated from high school, even if you didn't graduate from high school, you should know how to spell straight. And even if you were in jail or you were ever arrested and you were incarcerated, and the judge tells you, or before you came out, the correction officers told you, or your mama, or whoever visited you, I hope you come out straight this time. I hope you go straight and not break the law. Go straight. You got it? All right. Don't forget now. I'm asking you to write this down for a reason. And this is the voice of Yodewafe that they know as Yodewafe. And I'm also the wilderness. You got it? Mm-hmm. So you wrote down straight. And we're going to come back to that in a minute. But for now, let's explain, as we did during the benediction, that YHWH appears in half, twice. Now go to Psalm chapter 68 and read verse 4. This is my Father. And right now he's riding in the air, probably hovering above this house. But I know he's up in the galaxies and the universe. He's in the skies. He's riding his mothership. Oh, he has a lot of ships. The mothership is his, of course, but he can choose to ride any ship that he created.
Mhm.
He could go in a 2-seater ship too. You think you create a 2-seater sports car? Where do you think you get that mind from, the technology to create a 2-seater Corvette Chevrolet, a Chevrolet Corvette, or a 2-seater BMW?
Right. Mhm.
We have 2-seater spaceships. You call them UFOs. And we also have 1-seater that you made like a motorcycle or a motor car with 1 wheel in the front and 2 in the back, or 2 in the front and 1 in the back. We can do that too. Where do you think you get technology from? A 1-seater, a 2-seater. So my father can sit in a 2-seater with Angel Pilot and just take him for a ride. Let's go check out the planet for a moment and see how the children of Israel, my children, are doing. And go fast and light speed and go back. And he would literally tell the angels in our home planet, "I'll be right back." He's the only one that just can say, "I'll be right back." Really? And he's the only one that said, "It'll only take a few seconds." And mean it. It'll only take a few seconds for me to go and come right back. And he means that. And next thing you know, he leave and they looked that way. He left and looked back that way. He's back. I'm telling you the truth. My father could leave in a spacecraft that they call UFOs. When you look over there and you see it over there, and when you look back, it's still over here. It's over there. But I just saw it over here. By the time we looked, it was there. How did that happen? Read verse 68. Let's see. Verse 4.
Yeah.
Psalm chapter 68.
4.
Verse 4.
Quote, sing unto God, sing praises to his name, extol him that rideth upon the heavens by his name, Yah, and rejoice before him.
Now, that's the half of the Yahweh, or Yod-He, Wav-He. That Yod, that's Yod with the He. They put J, and they got an A in the middle because why? He's A. Got it? He's A. So they got J, there's no J, it's Y-A-H, which is Yod-A-He. Yod Aleph He. He have the H. And that H is what from your notes? H is what? Mm-hmm. H is life.
Mm-hmm.
There's two with O. No one can survive without two H's in the O. No one, no human body or vessel, terrestrial or celestial, can survive without two H's and one O.
Yeah.
Now, scientifically, by chemical elements, they call it H2O, which is what? Water.
Water.
Right? That body got to have water or it will dehydrate and eventually die. Dried up. Got it? So there's two H's with the O. The O is infinity. My father have the first H, Yod-He. The son has the other H, who's Wab. Then you have, that means WH. That's where Wab, that's where the Shalom come in at. Right? So you have the son, the father and the son, YHWH. Yod-He, Wab-He. The He is the same. The He don't change. That's why there's two. That's the first, he's the first time of the YH, the first time. Then you have times in between that from 1979. And then after he leaves in 2007 and it ascends up, then the WH, the other H, a half will come of time. WH. We went over that before. Right? Okay, now you wrote down straight. Now we know who my father is. Right? Read verse 17 so you can see how many more Cadillacs and Mercedes and Rolls Royces we have and BMWs and Corvettes with two-seaters, Stingray, Chevrolet. Huh? Read verse 17.
Verse 17, quote, the chariots of God are 20,000.
Imagine them coming off the assembly line in one day. And what?
Even thousands of angels.
Mm-hmm.
The Lord is among them, as in Sinai in the holy place.
Okay. Is that clear? All right. Now, I'm among them. My name is, you see, it was promised. And just for the sake of those who may not know, we better show them that. Go to Revelation chapter 19. So they'll know it's me and I'm not false. Because only one being in existence was promised to come with a name that no one knew. Mm-hmm. That would be the Christ. So if you're looking for him, see, if your pastor have a name that's called Johnson or Roundtree or, Shadow Man or whatever, Indian River, if you're Mr. Indian River, Pastor Indian River or Bishop Green, Bishop Lone Tree or whatever that bishop is, if you have a name like that, that's not the Christ. You follow the wrong bishop. You follow the wrong clergyman. Even Benedict, wrong one. Whether it be Benedict or Francis or whoever he is, Frank Sonotra, or whoever it is. Let's straighten it out. Frank Nitroglycerin, whatever. Francis Nitroglycerin, the Pope of the Vatican today. Is his name Francis? Frankie? My guess would be he has a bishop named Johnny. of the Vatican of Rome. So you got Frankie and Johnny were sweethearts because they cannot have that kind of relationship with women. So could you imagine what they're doing in the Papal, the Vatican office on the Shabbat, on the Sabbath day? Right after they give everybody a white piece of round cracker and drink some Welch's grape juice. They have no idea about the white potato bread. Huh? They have no idea what that. I could imagine even on January 1st of their calendar this year, you know how many people eating that white round piece of cardboard bread? And then he gonna tell them this is the blood of Christ. That means, see, their Jesus exists, but he exists with grape juice in his veins.
Right.
Because they say this is the blood of Jesus. They give him grape juice to drink or wine. That means Jesus' body is full of Jesus. That makes sense because that's what they do drink. Oh, them Hispanics, they drink a lot. Yeah, so I mean, Jesus do have wine in his veins, his blood. That's their God, Jesus. Read that, please.
Revelation 19:12.
Verse 12.
His eyes were as a flame of fire.
Now you got to see, they think that's literal.
Mm.
They also think that's the eyes in his head, in his skull, or the retina, the pupil. You know, they think that is. They see all they see is EYES. There's a flame of fire. What else?
And on his head were many crowns.
You don't know how many. Go ahead.
And he had a name written that no man knew but he himself.
Now on his head, those many crowns, as many names as he came in throughout the years from the beginning. Even as Melchizedek, Joshua, Micah, Shimshon, Shalomo, even Job, and Isaiah. All those crowns he had on his head. The Son of Nun, the Son of Man, the Son of David. That's a lot of crowns. See, they don't know what that meant. There's revelation. So when you look for the Christ, you got to find one who can decipher all of that. So on his head were many crowns, even as he lived around many kings during his days. But there's a name, that's what?
That no man knew. A name written that no man knew.
No man. It's already written. That means when you're looking for the Christ to come, you've got to come with a name that's already written that no man knew. And when he comes, he's going to reveal the name. He's going to be on his head. Is that what it says?
But he himself.
Right. Now, you look on my head and you see 5 Hebrew characters. 5. And they are from right to left. Yod, Kaf, Shin, Mem, Sophie. That's the name. Again. Yod, from right to left. See? From right to left. From right, Yod, Kaf, Shin, Mem, Sophie. From right to left. That's 5 characters. No one knew that name.
Mm-hmm.
You wrote down yesterday as we had our private meeting what it means.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Okay.
I'm not gonna say it. That way they'll know I already revealed it.
Mm-hmm.
But the way you pronounce it is Yokashimium.
Right.
Yokashimium. That's the Christ name.
Mm-hmm.
That's the name, the same as Joshua. That's what he carried around in his head. Even from back then, he knew he was Yokashimium. And even Jacob asked, what's your name? He didn't tell him. He didn't tell no one. Moshe asked the name. He didn't tell Moshe. A lot asked after his name. Yokashimium. He said Yahshua, and he gave all kind of names, right? But no one knew this name. No one. So we went around with Yahshua. He came back, went around as Mika Yahweh. Mem Yod Kaf Yod Waveh. Mika Yahweh in English. Mem Yod Kaf Yod Waveh. That's what he went around with as Mika. They cut it in half. They took off the theophoric extension. The theophoric extension they took off, stripped it. But because they thought that because that name was on the theophoric extension on the end, Yod Waveh, that the Hebrews would come back and know the name. It's not his name. Not God's name either. Yokashimium. What do you have? What does each letter represent something? Each character, not letter, each character represents something. beginning with Yod, which is life.
Oh, Yod, life.
Yod, say it loud, say it. Yod, life.
Yod is life. The next Hey is the truth, and then we have the way, and then we have the door.
That's the tetragrammaton. Okay, but what is this name? The meaning of this name. Remember that.
We have
Remember
the Yod for life.
Yod for life. Then you have Kaf.
Then we have Kaf to shut up.
Kaf is a shut the door. To shut.
The door.
To shut. S-H-U-T. Right? S-H-U-T. You have the life Yod that's coming to ark. Shut it.
And then we have the Sheen.
Sheen
for the peace.
For peace.
For peace.
Once the door is shut, right? You come in. Life comes in. The door is shut. Once the door is shut of Jerusalem, then there's peace.
Yeah.
And what's going to be after peace?
Then we have Mem, which is Mayim for water.
Mem would be there'll be plenty of water. We just mentioned you cannot live without the water. So as the life come in and come through the door that's shut with peace, you got to have water. And the Mem Sophie is what?
And we have the Mem Sophie for Olam, which is forever.
Forever. Olam, forever. Closes it up.
Close it up.
Yeah, the door is shut. Mem Sophie seals it. No one could open it. That's what happened to the ark. When the animal, see, there was the beast went in, and just for your record's sakes, for yours, you didn't know, and they teach you storybook tales of the Bible in Sunday school. Nowhere in the Bible, in the King James Version, where you see the word animal.
Nope.
Animal in singular or animals in plural is not found printed in the King James Version 1611 Authorized Holy Version of the Holy Bible. It's not there. So since animals is not found in the Bible, King James Version, what made you think that there were two animals of every kind that went in the ark? That's the question. Only the Christ can tell you that and point that out to you. No such thing as a two animal, male and female lie that went in the ark. In my Bible, the King James Version says 7 of the clean. 7 of the clean, by 7s of the clean, and by 2s of the unclean. And they were not animals.
Right.
Now you got to try and figure out what they were. Let's straighten it out.
Wow.
We're going to straighten it out. Now, with that said, my name is revealed. I told the planet, that means you can call on it, but you still have to be saved. You still got to come to me to be saved. This is the name you must call on to be saved. Yod Kashimiah. Now, I told it. I said it. They have a choice, especially with the door getting ready to close. It's at the doors. We're in the last days, even at the doors. Learn a parable of the fig tree at the doors. Here's your parable. You wrote it out straight. Straight. Go to John chapter 1. And I'm going to go with you. John chapter 1. Straight. Let's straighten it out. Read verse 23.
John chapter 1, verse 23, quote, he said,
I am the voice of the one crying in the wilderness. Read verse 22 first. Let's get in order.
Then said they unto him, who art thou, that we may give an answer to them that sent us? What sayest thou of thyself? He said,
I am the voice of the one crying in the wilderness. Make straight the way of the Lord. As I said to the prophet Isaiah. That was said in the prophet Isaiah. So what would that be in Isaiah? I repeat, I am the voice. I am the voice of the one crying in the wilderness. Right? Not one. I am the one. They left out the. I am the voice of the one crying in the wilderness. So make straight the way. Let's straighten it out. Make straight the way of the Lord, as said the prophet, as I said to Isaiah.
mm-hmm.
You don't know, you can't answer because you don't know what the wilderness is. The wilderness itself is there. You hear the voice,
Yeah.
but you don't know what the wilderness is. What you see is wilderness. I see a nest full of people that are wild. I see a wilderness than those that were tame and not so wild. Go to Luke chapter 3. And read verse 4.
Luke chapter 3, verse 4, quote, as it is written in the book of the words of Isaiah the prophet, saying,
There's Isaiah again.
the voice of one crying in the wilderness, prepare ye the way of the Lord, make his paths straight.
How you got to make it straight? You go straight down, though, didn't you?
Yeah.
Go to Mark chapter 1 and read verse 3.
Mark chapter 1, verse 3, quote,
Yes.
the voice of one crying in the wilderness, prepare ye the way of the Lord, make his paths straight.
That's 3 gospels so far. 3. Now go to Matthew chapter 3. Where did it start? We went backward. Go to Matthew chapter 3 and read verse 3. That's 33. That's whose voice would be in the book of the Bible. The Bible. The voice of the one crying in the wilderness would be the 33rd book in the Bible, the same one. It started at Matthew chapter 3, verse 3. That's 33. Now, all you have to do is know that there's 66 books in this King James Version Holy Bible, 66. When you count from 1 to 33, that'll be the voice that you must hear crying in the wilderness. Then you got to find the wilderness. Read verse 3.
Matthew 3, verse 3, quote, for this is he that was spoken of by the prophet Isaiah, saying, the voice of one crying in the wilderness, prepare ye the way of the Lord, make his paths straight.
Now, you wrote that down, didn't you?
Okay.
When this path is created, it would be freezing at that time of year in the whole world, the whole planet. It'd be winter. It'd be freezing. It'd be freeze. Where is it that Isaiah said it?
43.
Is it?
Straight.
Let's go to read it. Let's say Isaiah said it. Now that takes care of all 4 gospels. So there's no excuse for the Christians. All 4 gospels of your New Testament has the voice crying in the wilderness. This is he.
40.
Chapter 40, right?
Yeah.
Isaiah.
Verse 3.
So now there's another 3. 40 and 3. The number value of Mem is 40. Here we are now on the 3rd day, 3.
Isaiah chapter 40, verse 3, quote, the voice of him that crieth in the wilderness, prepare ye the way of the Lord.
Start at verse 1 so we get the foundation, then go to 3. Start the first day.
Comfort ye.
So you got to comfort
ye,
you by people. What?
saith your God.
Right.
Verse 2, speak ye comfortably to Jerusalem, and cry unto her that her welfare is accomplished,
Okay.
that her iniquity is pardoned.
Okay.
For she have received of the Lord's hand double for all her sins.
You got it. Doubled. But there's someone who can rescue them. Read verse 3.
Verse 3, the voice of him that crieth in the wilderness, prepare ye the way of the Lord, make straight in the desert a highway for our God.
You got to make straight a highway for our God. And how would you write on your paper?
Straight.
On your card?
Straight.
How you spelled it?
Straight.
Okay. That's how you wrote it. I told you to write straight. Now I got to straighten it out. Let's straighten it out. Write down on your paper now, Straight. And tell me what that spells. S like Superman, like sun. S T R A I T. What is that?
Straight.
That's why I told you right. I said write down straight. Why'd you write down STRAIGHT? Because I told you to put a GH on the side.
Oh.
Then I tell you to put a GH on the side.
God's house.
So why you put it inside straight? You want to challenge my wisdom? Did I tell you to put the GH on the side before I told you to write straight?
Can't.
So why you still put the GH inside straight? Don't you know straight is the way? That's where you want to be? See, I put you on the side. I put God's house on the side because I don't want you to come into that straight. That straight is not good. That straight is in a valley that sits between two oceans of water. So why you want to go to that straight? I said I straighten it out. What's that? The path too. It's crooked. It's crooked. So how am I straighten out the crookedness with STRAIT? I put God's house on the side so I can straighten out the crookedness. Said I would do it. Did I not? Okay, so you and Isaiah, read verse 17 before you leave that, so I can let you know how I feel of all other nations on this planet. Isaiah chapter 40, verse 17, so you'll know how I feel of all other nations, and we're about to go someplace else.
Verse 17, quote, all nations before him are as nothing, and they are counted to
How
him.
many nations?
All nations
Or what?
before him are as nothing,
And they are counted as something.
and they are counted to him less than nothing.
You know what less than nothing is? In vanity?
And vanity.
You know what less than nothing in vanity is? That means when the Christ comes, that's why they had to create their own Christ.
Right.
Because when the Christ of the God of the Hebrews come, he's only caring about one nation of people, his children, his own, his father's children. That's confirmed in Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 1. That's the only nation he cares of that he named after Yaakov, Israel, Yahweh, Yushi Reshal Yudawave. That's all he cares of. Israel, the nation that rules this planet. Whoever possesses the land of Israel can rule it. That's the center of the planet. Israel, right in the center of the planet. That's why it's called the Middle East. Right in the center of the planet. Whoever rules Israel, possess their land, can rule this whole planet. Not Washington, D.C.
No.
Right.
That's what Benjamin Netanyahu still wants to linger around, hang around. Well, you're false anyway. I already made you see, I already described and revealed the seat of the synagogue of Satan over in California. I did that the last calendar year. I revealed the seat of Satan and told you who Satan is in California. So now I'm going to make all of those of the synagogue of Satan will say they are Jews and are not. They'll say they're Hebrew Israelites and are not. They'll say they are of the tribe of Yehuda and are not, but do lie. They do lie. So behold, I'm going to make them to come and worship before thy feet so that you would know that I have ye. Now, when I get through, when they look at this video, if they have any kind of common sense, if they want to straighten it out, they better come and worship before your feet. And that includes all of my people of Judah. You should see white folks coming to bow to you at this video. They see this. You go walk a Walmart, they come to bow to you. They say, do you need any more food stamps? You need any more money to buy you some socks, some shoes? Whatever you need, I'm here at your service. I saw y'all Christ on YouTube. I know he's here. Just take me with y'all. Because I know that y'all God is the one who put those tornadoes in Alabama, as he said he was going to do it. See, I heard the son. I read something on Facebook way back on November 4th that said when he leave Alabama, he's gonna leave all kinds of destruction behind. And now I saw it this past week, and I know it's got to be him. Please let me buy you a Coke or some milkshake. Would you mind coming to my house for dinner? Would you? What kind of car you have? A 1989 Ford? How about a 2023 Ford? I want a car dealership. Come pick out the color you want and whatever you want. The keys, I'm going to tax it. I'm going to pay for the taxes. I'm going to license it for you and get your insurance. Just take me with y'all. I don't want to die. I do not want to die. What I am saying, I am not exaggerating. It's in the word. I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse those who curse you. It's in the word. If you go to Walmart, just go to the common sense shelf and pick up some common sense. It should be on sale. It's a red light sale. Common sense. So go pick up a bag of common sense, stir it in some water, drink it, and use it, and go and perform that on my people before winter is over. Speaking of winter, go to your search box because it's supposed to be freezing. Let's straighten it out. Go to your search box in your concordance and type in freeze. Right? Freeze. It's supposed to be freezing. Right? Freeze. And let's see how many times it's in the Bible. I'm just going to take a guess at maybe in there one time. But see if you find freeze in the Bible. See if it's in there one time, at least one time in the Bible. Freeze. Freeze. Freeze.
One time.
One time. That's a good guess, isn't it? And let me guess. It's not the King James Version.
Not the King James Version.
But it's in the Bible.
It's in the Bible.
I said it's going to be in the Bible. I didn't say which one.
Right.
So what's it say in that Bible? Job 37:10. Is that what it had? What's it say in that Bible?
Okay. Job chapter 37, verse 10.
What's it say?
The breath of God produces ice.
Wait.
What?
You mean with all of that freezing that's going on in this country right now, that's being done by the breath of God?
Good.
Produces ice?
Produces ice.
And here we are in Florida and Miami, and it was in the 40s. It's going to be in the 40s here tonight. And it's supposed to be like one of the warmest spots outside of California in the whole country, Florida and California. And we in the 40s. So you mean the breath of God is causing that ice? That's why you see frost come out of their mouth. And, oh. He created that body, so I guess all these bodies belong to God. So the breath of God is coming out in ice. And what's the rest of it say?
And the breadth of the waters freeze solid.
What? Freeze solid. That's the what Bible is that?
NET.
NET Bible. Okay, now go to the King James Version, see what it says. The NET, is that the new English translation?
Okay.
The new English translation. So that means since that was transliterated in the New English, that means from the scroll, it may have been what you're about to read in the King James Version that they took out. Is that possible? Because I know that the letters F, R, the vowel E, and I know Z was in the English alphabets in the 16th century. I know that. Even in the 15th century. Or they would not have been able to write in Yahweh with the vowel E. I know Z is there because they wouldn't have been able to write Zion. I know F is there because they had to write faith. And R had to be there for righteousness. So that means it's safe to say that F-R-E-E-Z-E had to be in existence, but they took it out of the King James Version so I can come along and straighten it out. See, they took it out, so the last days I come and straighten it out. That you thought was freeze, it's straighten it out. Read that. Read the King James Version. Same chapter, book, verse. What's that say?
Verse 10, quote, by the breath of God, frost is...
See, it's the same frost of ice. And what?
And the breadth of the waters is straightened.
See, where they get straightened. They went from freeze to straighten.
Right.
So let's straighten it out. Since they prefer straighten, see, is not my God straightened? Is not these his words that I'm speaking? Of his, I'm using the voice of Yorubafe. This is my voice, right? He created it. So this is the voice of Yorubafe. Do not the heaven and the earth did not pass him away? Aren't they passed away? Do not I feel all of that? I feel all of that out. I feel all the heaven and earth got passed it away. My words should not pass. So is not these his words? Are they straightened? I wonder. If I'm Mika, that means I left it in the word so it can happen today. It's got to be in the winter for it to be freezing. And only the Christ can do this. So now you got to go to the book called Mika, right? And you got to find how's it straightened. Go to me. I think Mika chapter 4. I think that's where it is. So you can go to find faster. You wrote down straight, which is GH. I told you don't do that. I don't know how you wrote it down. I said write down straight, but put your GH to the side. Didn't I? Okay.
Mika 2:7.
Mika 2:7. I'm not surprised. What's Mika 2:7? We can read. Hold on. Mika chapter 2, verse 7. The same as 27.
Same as 27.
That means Mika will come out of the womb on the 27th day of that month.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, the question is, O thou that are named the house of Yaakov. See the house?
Yeah.
House is there.
Mm-hmm.
Is Lord there?
Lord is there.
That's the GH. O thou that art named the house of Yaakov. Is the spirit of the Lord straightened? Are these his doings? It's a question. Do not my words do good to him that walketh uprightly? Isn't that's a question.
That's a question.
Even of late, this late day, the last days, this late time of this 6,000 years of Cain's rule, my people have risen up as an enemy. Even on Facebook, they rose up as an enemy, don't even realize it. They pull off the robe and put on other kind of filthy garments with the garment from them that pass by securely as men averse from war. They have no idea why they do that. So why did you do it? And these words are straightened. Let's straighten it out. But you don't know what straightened is. You wrote down straight. What's straightened? Go to your concordance and type in straightened. H3334. What's this straightened? To bind and be in distress? Is that you wrote down straight? Didn't you write down straight?
Yeah.
So you want to be bound, you want to be in distress.
No.
I tried to take you out of that. Didn't you write it down?
Good.
Read it. H3334. Isn't that straight?
Yeah.
Don't you see Yod there?
Yeah.
Yosar, right?
Yeah.
No etymology. But you wrote down straight. All you had to do is add the EN on it and you have straightened. Isn't that what it says?
Yeah.
And you want to be in distress. What's the call meaning? To suffer distress?
Suffer distress.
I told you to write GH on the side, but you didn't do that. That's where you want to come to. You want to be in distress. See, in my distress, I call on my R.
Right.
I took the stress.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So go to Job, look for the one in Job. See, Mem. That means, see, when ice freezes, and you saw it, even in Buffalo, When ice freezes, it becomes a havoc. It becomes people. It puts people in distress.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah,
It's a constraint.
It is a constraint. Can't move.
Can't move. But then they say it comes from H3332, right? Which is the cast. Now I cast him down. He was right back on the cast down.
Right. Yeah.
And to be firmly established.
Mhm.
You wrote STRAIGHT. I was going to put the GH on the side. You didn't do that. Don't you see it?
Yeah.
And I read back at Micah chapter 2, verse 7. There's a straighten there.
Mhm.
Well, to be short and be impatient. So you don't have any patience?
Mm.
No, but you do have to reap harvest. That's H7114.
Mhm.
That's what they put to reap harvest. Is that what it is, really? In the winter? So I'm going to reap harvest in the winter. Just like they celebrate Christmas in the winter. It's a lie. So you see the confusion that the devil's putting in your face?
Yeah.
Bunch of liars. Now look at the one in Luke chapter 12, verse 50. But one meaning in Luke chapter 12, verse 50 of straighten. But I have a baptism to be baptized with, and how I am straightened. And how am I straightened till it be accomplished? That's G4912.
Mhm.
To be what? To hold together. Let's straighten it out.
Mm. Yeah. To hold together.
Okay. To hold together. To be held by. See, this straight that they put in Greek comes from the Hebrew, but they put it in Greek. That means this straight is to teach and teaching the word. And it's a metaphor. Look at it. G4912. You got to go to G4912. Go to G4912. That was hidden in Luke.
Mhm. And teaching the word.
And teaching the word. That's just straightened. That means it was crooked.
Mm.
It was. See, I told you some testimonies ago. The devil taught you and have you believing in lies, right?
Mhm.
That you think is true.
Mm.
And then when they write the truth, you think is a lie.
Mhm.
So they put straight in here to make you think it's the truth, and yet it's a lie because it's crooked. That's why it was promised that what I would do. And now you got to go back for a moment to Isaiah. But I'm going to show you what Satan did in chapter 27. So look at chapter 27, verse 1.
Isaiah.
Isaiah chapter 27. See 27,
Yeah.
right? You just went from Luke 27, didn't you? Chapter 2, verse 7. What you went to? Chapter 2, verse 7. You went to?
That was Micah 2.
You went to Micah chapter 2, verse 7. Micah chapter 2, verse 7.
Mhm.
Now go to Isaiah chapter 27
Mhm.
and read verse 1.
Isaiah chapter 27, verse 1, quote, "In that day the Lord with his sword and great and strong sword shall punish Leviathan, the piercing serpent, even
He's
Leviathan."
a serpent.
Yeah.
Even what?
Even Leviathan, that crooked serpent.
Right.
And he shall slay the dragon that is in the sea.
He is crooked. Let's straighten it out.
Mm.
Now go back to Isaiah chapter 40 that you did not read verse 4.
No.
Because you read verse
1, 2, and 3.
1, 2, and 3. Now read verse 4. And I had you to stop at verse 3. And then you went to verse 17.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to stop you before you go to verse 4 because verse 4 is for now. Let's straighten it out. Read verse 4.
Verse 4, quote, Isaiah chapter 40, verse 4, quote, Every valley shall be exalted, and every mountain and hill shall be made low,
And the what?
and the crooked shall be made straight, and the rough places plain.
Now I'm going to make it plain. It may have been rough for you all these years to understand this or comprehend it. Whom shall I teach knowledge and the doctrine? It was too much for you to learn. Now you couldn't bear it. You couldn't comprehend it or understand it. Now I'm going to make it plain. Plain and simple. That was rough.
Yeah.
But first I got to straighten it out, the crooked. Satan got you believing in lies that you think is true. Even Happy New Year and Merry Christmas.
Right.
And Happy Easter, which is all a lie. But yeah, you think it's true. And then when I teach you the truth, you think it's a lie. So let's straighten it out. Right? Now, show me in the Bible where it says, go take the straight places and make them crooked. It's not there. See, it's not in the Bible. But you know what? Let's do this. Go to your search box. Right? And type in crooked places made straight. Type that in. Type in crooked places made straight. And I'm gonna go with you. You got it? You can write crooked places, right?
Without the GH, right? The straight without the GH, right?
Yeah. Made no with the no
with the GH.
with the GH.
With the GH.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Where did it take you to? You got to put crooked places made straight.
Oh, they took us to Isaiah chapter 40, verse 4.
There's only one.
It's only one.
Is that what you just read?
That's what we just read.
Okay, go back to your search box.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's what Satan taught you. Reverse it. He's opposite. He's oppositionist. Straight places made crooked. He's opposite. Type that in and get the shock of your life, because he cannot do it. He cannot change it. He cannot make a straight place crooked. And yet, when I teach you the truth, you think it's a lie. Satan got you thinking it's a lie, but it's the truth. What's it going to take you to? You got straight places made crooked. Just like that. Straight places made crooked. Satan, Leviathan, you serpent. Where's it take you to?
We're back in Isaiah.
You went right back to Isaiah chapter 40, verse 4. That means it cannot happen. There's no such thing as a straight place that's going to be made crooked. I said I came to straighten it out. I ain't came to make it crooked. You think I'm a crook? You think I'm crooked?
Wow.
You think the Son of Man coming back crooked, the one the voice cry in the wilderness? So you have to know what straight is. Right?
Yeah.
We're straight. Now you got to go to H. Look at it. Go to H 4334. It's uprightness.
Yeah. Uprightness. Yeah.
To be right.
Yeah.
Go to etymology. H 3474. You got to be made right and be straight. You got to be on the level and be upright. You got to be just and you got to be lawful.
Yeah, to be right, be straight, be level.
And how's that being spelled? STRAIGHT.
Even be lawful.
Be lawful. Now I'm officially, as I promised, making all crooked things straight, all path straight. I mean, you got to be upright. Stop being unlawful and unrighteous.
Yeah.
Stop being rough and be smooth. Don't you see it there?
Smooth, right?
And plain, smooth. Don't you see it?
Yeah.
You have to esteem right, and you got to be approved
Mm-hmm.
and smooth. You even got to look straight. You got to dress straight and look straight.
Yeah.
Is that what you see?
Yeah.
Took you right back to Isaiah 40
And verse 4.
and verse 4. That means you're gonna be in the wilderness when I do that. Go to H6140. Just type it in. H6140. And what's that? That's crooked. What does that tell you it is?
To be perverse, twist, pervert, make crooked.
Really? That's crooked.
Yeah.
Now go back to Isaiah chapter 45 for a moment. Because you just learned from crooked that it's what? It's perverse.
Perverse.
That's not good. Now look at Isaiah chapter 45, verse 2. And let's straighten it out.
Isaiah chapter 45, verse 2, quote, I will go before thee and make the crooked places straight.
Mm-hmm.
I will break in pieces the gates of brass and cut in sunder the bars of iron.
Now, they have you believing after transliteration that this particular crooked places is a crooked place of perverseness. Is that what you just said? Okay, go to H1921. And you can, actually, here's what you do. Here's what you do. Don't do that. Don't do that. Type in crooked in your search box. Crooked. Right? Bunch of crooks. Right? Crooked. Type in CROOKED. Crooked. See if one of those meanings is supposed to appear in the Bible about 14 times. See if one of those times in the book called Isaiah, chapter 45, which you just read.
On 45 too?
Yeah, read that. That's the same thing. Read that.
I will go before thee.
That's the same thing you just said. And what?
And make the crooked places straight. I will break in pieces the gates of brass and cut in sunder the bars of iron.
Now, it said crooked places here. Do you have H1921 by crooked places?
Yes. Yeah.
Type in that. Just click on that. Where's it going to take you to? Because I would like to. I need help with this one. I would like to know how does a crooked place be honored and adorned,
glorified
and glorified?
Be high.
How you gonna glorify a crooked place? How is that? Then to be honored, to honor oneself and claim honor. How you gonna go to a crooked place? I must lead you to a crooked place, and before I straighten it out, you already honored and glorified. Yet I thought I had to straighten it out first, and then you'd be honored and glorified, and that crooked place be made straight.
Right.
But you put STRAIGHT, God's house. So you want God's house to be crooked. That's what they have here.
Wow, that's wicked.
Is that wicked or what?
Yeah, that's wicked.
It sounds to me that your father need to leave you somewhere to teach you all things, and to lead you and keep you in the way. To keep you in the way and to reveal secrets that you were not supposed to know until the last days. So I mean, you have STRAIGHT. Could you imagine? But what's the wilderness? That means you have to be in the wilderness for this to happen. Now you gotta go to wilderness. Type in your address box, wilderness. See if it takes you to Isaiah. Because that's where we left off at, right? Isaiah. And that was Isaiah 45?
45, King.
Okay.
45 too.
And you have we'll read that again. I have all that. Wilderness. 42:11. Oh yeah, 45 too. Okay, go to 45 too. Yeah.
But wilderness not in that verse though.
It's not.
Oh yeah, that was Isaiah 40 and 3.
Go to 40. Yes, it's in 40. Isaiah chapter 40. Read that.
Isaiah chapter 40, verse 3, quote, "The voice of him that crieth in the wilderness, prepare ye the way of the Lord, make straight in the desert a highway for our God."
So what's the wilderness? The wilderness in the Old Testament is the voice, the mouth of the God of him, the mouth of him. Go ahead, type on it. H4057. His mouth would be in the wilderness. That means his mouth would be the wilderness as a figurative of speech, figuratively. His mouth would be in the wilderness and be the wilderness, but the wilderness would also be sitting between two ocean bodies of water, the Atlantic Ocean and the Gulf of Mexico. Why? Because that valley of water would be people in that valley, symbolized. What do you have? H4057, wilderness.
We have a pasture, uninhabited land.
Okay, now go to the figurative wilderness.
Right.
What?
A mouth.
A mouth. That's the wilderness.
And also mouth as organ of speech.
As organ of speech. The wilderness of what? The wilderness of England, English. The stammery lips, strange tongue. Yeah. But it also has an etymological meaning. Etymological. Mm-hmm. Etymological. Yeah. So what is that? H1696. To what? To speak and declare and command and keep my promise as threatened, as I threaten and warn you. Right? To be spoken. I promise to speak. And to lead away and put to flight. That's found in wilderness?
Right. That's the wilderness.
That's the wilderness. My voice is crying in the wilderness. Let's straighten that out. My voice is crying in the wilderness. Now, when you go to the Greeks, go to G2048. A flock of people that has been deserted by the shepherd. And they went to other shepherds. What do you have? That wilderness.
G2048.
Mm-hmm.
We have under A of a flock deserted by the shepherd. Of a woman neglected by her husband, from whom the husband withholds himself.
How about that?
And we also have solitary, lonely, desolate,
right,
uninhabited.
That's what they give you in the New Testament.
Yeah.
Okay, go back to crooked now. You still got crooked. Go back to crooked, and there's only 2 verses in the New Testament where crooked is found. 2 books. Luke is one, and Philippians is another one. But they both have the same meaning. You read Luke chapter 3 before. Mm-hmm. You read verse 3.
Yeah.
Right? Now read verses 4 and 5 of Luke chapter 3. You should see it when it comes up.
Yeah, we'll take straight to Luke.
Okay.
4 and 5. So click on Luke. Yeah. Luke chapter 3, verse 4, quote, "As it is written in the book of the words of Isaiah the prophet, saying, the voice of one crying in the wilderness, prepare ye the way of the Lord, make his paths straight."
Let's straighten it out.
Verse 5.
Verse 5.
Quote, "Every valley shall be filled."
See, as I straighten it out, here's why I have to be straightened out. What?
"And every mountain and hill shall be brought low, and the crooked shall be made straight, and the rough ways shall be made smooth."
So how do I make the crooked places straight? By telling you the crooked places that they put here is a lie. Right. And the straight place that they put there is also a lie. Okay. The crooked and the straight that they put in here is a lie. but they have you believing it's the truth. For example, click on crooked here on the concordance. They have that on the G, 4646. That's what they give you. They give you your visual that you see with your sight, not with your mind. And what does that mean?
They give you crooked and curved. Metaphorically, they give you perverse.
But you just said wicked,
Mm-hmm.
unfair, surely, or surely, and forward, right?
Yeah.
That's what they give you as a sight, and then you stop there. So how can I make this crooked place here straight? How can I make the crooked, the curved, the perverse, the wicked straight? That's impossible. But what's not impossible is, I tell you, that's not where it comes from. Here's how I'm going to straighten it out. Go to the etymology on the 4628G.
Yeah.
And here's what it means. Here's how I straighten it out. But you got to walk right. You got to walk right. You got to walk right with your leg from the hip to the toes inclusively.
Stop it.
What's this got to do with crooked?
Right.
I'm straightening it out. Let's straighten it out. What's that got to do with crooked? It ain't only two meanings. The other chapters in Philippians. But they got you thinking it's crooked, and yet that's your own legs that you must walk uprightly. Did you say upright?
Yeah.
Righteously? As being straight.
Yeah.
Now that you know that, and as we close, I would like for you to do what I told you to do and write straight again. But this time, leave God's house out of it. I mean, you're going to write down STRAIT, right?
Yeah.
Is it in the Bible? Because you have to find a gate made out of iron and brass. The first place, it should be in the 1 Samuel. Right? And what does that say? 1 Samuel, what's the meaning? Under age 68, 87.
Says to bind, be narrow, be in distress, make narrow, cause distress, besiege, be straightened, be bound.
Really? So that's straight. Don't sound like a good straight, do it?
Even to you can't have wrestling.
Yeah, that's straight. What's the other chapter? You got another chapter. Go to the other one.
We have 2 Kings. We got 168:62.
What's that one? That's a different meaning.
Yeah.
Click on that one. What kind of straight? That's straight for us. What straight is that? Is that narrow and tight?
Narrow and tight.
Adversary or foe or enemy?
Yeah, no oppressive.
Go to Matt now. That means the last one in the Old Testament is in Isaiah chapter 49. That's 68, 62.
Yeah.
Right? Same one.
We do have in Job 36:16, 8:60.
You have right. So go to 63:10. And that's the mouth.
That's the mouth.
That's on the straight. So that means there's a mouth. Now you put it together. There's a mouth that's in the wilderness. That's whose mouth it is. That's going to teach you the truth and lead you straight by his mouth into the path that's narrow.
Right.
You got it?
Right.
The extremity at the end. But they don't want you to know that. It's even of a man's speech. The mouth is an origin of speech. See, of animals,
That's only one animal.
there's only one animal. That's Slam. I-N.
Olive Noon.
Olive Noon. I and Slam. Right? Those who are watching don't know the mystery of that because you're not here with me. That's why it's safe to tell all the world there's no such word in the Bible and the King James Version as animals. Whether singular or plural, there's no animal and no animals in the Bible. I challenge you to go find it and show it to me. Then I come bow to you, King James Version. Show me animals in the Bible. Write me or leave me a comment. If you subscribe, I'm not asking nobody to subscribe. I'm not into nobody. I don't want you to subscribe. I ain't saying click on this link. I'm not looking for points. You can't point me. You can't judge me. You can't hire me. Once you hire me, I become your employee. And I work for one man, my Father. I do his will, my works. So you're not going to find animals. You'll find one man to teach you in a stammering lips, strange tone, the truth, and have you come to the straight. That's why, there's a word. I mean, is there such thing as straighten? I wonder, was there a promise made to Yirmiyahu of straighten? So you put STRAIGHTEN. I said leave God's house out for a reason. Now, if you want to go ahead and fall and stay under STRAIGHTEN, then you're going to fall into damnation. But you don't know what straighten that is. Like we just read one straighten that's good. You don't know what straighten that is. But the straighten that you want to stay away from is STRAITEN. You ever heard that word? No. Write it down on your paper. STRAITEN. STRAITEN. That's like stray 10, 1 0. Like, You ever saw that word before? No, because you have STRAIGHTEN, right? Now you could write straight and end, END, a straight like a straight end, right? So let's try that. Go to your search box.
Just put the E in straight.
And do this. Put straight, STRAIT, and then put the word end. Yeah, END.
Okay.
And go and see if you can find that. STRAITEND.
0 time.
No Bible.
No Bible.
That devil. Well, that's good news and bad news. The good news is when you go through the straight gate, there's no end. I got to show you that before we close. We get ready to close. You got it? There's no end as you go through the straight gate. But there's two. It's straight. Now, that's the good news. There's no end when you go in if you go straight. But the bad news is the devil got you going through the wrong gate. You heard what I said? You got to hear me now. We getting ready to. I'm straightening it out. Let's straighten it out. The devil have you going through the wrong gate and got you going to church every Sunday, going through the wrong gate and worshiping the wrong God, going through the wrong gate. Because narrow is the way. But both can lead to, one lead to life and one leads to death. You got to know what gate it is. Let's straighten it out. So since you have those two words on your box, you have straight in. And I just told you the devil got you doing that. Take that devil out of there. Take that D off there. Take the D off. You got the devil off? Now push that E in close to that T. Now you got straighten. No such word. Click on it. And when you do, go to Jeremiah chapter 19 and read verse 9. So there's no such word. And see where you're headed. See what the devil got you doing. Go straighten it. Let's straighten it out. No, don't read solid verse 6. You know what? You read verse 1. You got to see what's going on here. What gate you going to? Straighten.
Jeremiah 19:1, quote, "Thus saith the Lord, go and get a potter's earthen bottle."
You don't even know what that is. I'm not going to go through that right now. And what?
"And take of the ancients of the people, and of the ancients of the priest."
Mm-hmm.
Verse 2, "And go forth unto the valley of the son of Hinnom, which is by the entry of the east gate,
Mm-hmm.
and proclaim there the words that I shall tell thee." Verse 3,
Mm-hmm.
"And say, Hear ye the word of the Lord, O kings of Judah, and inhabitants of Jerusalem. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, Behold, I will bring evil upon this place."
What? Who said that?
The Lord God of hosts,
Just like he sent the ships to them, huh?
God of Israel.
Go ahead. And what else?
"The which whosoever heareth, his ears shall tingle." Verse 4,
Mm-hmm.
"Because they have forsaken me, and have
They
estranged."
did what? They have the
Forsaken.
nerve to forsake the God of the Hebrews.
Goodness.
And what?
"And have estranged this place, and have burned incense in it unto other gods, whom neither they nor their fathers have known, nor
Wow.
the kings of Judah, and have filled this place with the blood of innocents." Verse 5,
Mm-hmm.
"They have built also the high places of Baal, to burn their sons with fire for burnt offerings unto Baal, which I
Wow.
commanded them not, nor spake it, neither came it into my mind." Verse 6,
Mhm.
"Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that this place shall no more be called Tophet,
Mm-hmm.
nor the valley of the son of Hinnom, but the valley of slaughter." Verse 7, "And I will make void the counsel of Judah and Jerusalem in this place,
Mm-hmm.
and I will cause them to fall by the sword before their enemies, and by the hands of them that seek their lives, and their carcasses will I give to be meat for the fowls of the heaven, and for the beast of the earth." Verse 8.
What? That don't sound like it's too good to me.
So, no.
What else?
Verse 8, "And I will make this city desolate, and an hissing. Everyone that passeth thereby shall be astonished,
Really? And what?
and hiss because of all the plagues thereof."
Plagues? That's in Revelation chapter 11, verse 6. And there's someone here today that is administering and they are deploying plagues all over this planet. He is. I say they because two witnesses, one man, one soul.
Right.
Snow is a plague.
Yeah.
Tornadoes is a plague. Read on.
Verse 9,
Verse 9.
"And I will cause them to eat the flesh of their sons, and the flesh of their daughters, and they shall eat every one the flesh of his friend, in the siege and straitness, wherewith their enemies, and they that seek their lives shall straiten them."
Now, do you want to be in that strait?
Nowhere near that straight.
That's why I told. Now you see why I told you leave the GH out,
Yeah.
because you're in God's house. That means to go to God's house, you got to come to. First of all, how many chapters are there in the book called Micah?
7.
7 chapters. It was put in here prophetically, but in codex, and by the Freemasons who put it in number and order of the straight gate. 7 chapters in the book called Micah, the only book with 7 chapters. What number order is Mem?
13.
13 from Aleph. It's a 13th Hebrew alphabet, Mem. So with Mem, who also is responsible for the words that speak in the first book of the New Testament, called Matthew, same author. I mean, you must, in order to find this gate, the straight, you must go to Matthew chapter 7 and start at verse 13. That will teach you the straight and straighten it out and make the crooked straight. Now I'm making the crooked straight. So go to that Matthew chapter
7.
Did you type it? Did you find out what straighten? We found out what. Look, get the meaning of that straighten. It's the only place in the Bible. It's the only place in the whole Bible, King James Version, where the word straighten is found. What it means?
The H6693.
Make a note. H6693.
To constrain.
To constrain.
press,
and press.
bring it to straits, straighten, oppress.
Oppress. So those who my father's going to get, my ark going to get, he's going to depress them. And they are depressed now. They are depressed now. Turn on the news and look at the news. Results of the floods in San Francisco, the rain, and the tornadoes across the south of the United States, southwest, and the southeast. Pretty soon, we're going to have round two. This is not round two of that blast that they had back in December, during that weekend of the holiday weekend that they call Christmas. Notice that it only happens during holiday weekends, but we're not going to wait till St. Patrick's Day for another one, or St. Valentine's Day. It's not going to be a St. Valentine's Day weekend. I don't know what day it falls over this. It's going to come before that. I'm getting ready now to get ready for another cold blast of Arctic air, sub-degree temperatures. Go to Matthew chapter 7. You said 7:13, didn't you? So let's find out. Let's straighten it out. Let's straighten it out.
Matthew chapter 7, verse 13, quote, "Enter ye in at the straight gate."
I think that may be more appropriate for me to read.
Okay.
I think I should read that. Right? Okay. So turn to it, Matthew chapter. You got it?
We got it.
Okay, let me go to that with you. And that way it'll be official. See, if I tell you to do it, then it'll be done. All right? Okay. So let me read that. That way it'll be official. I can't have you do it. It's not the way. It's got to be the voice of. So enter ye in at the straight gate. For wide is the gate, and narrow is the way that leadeth to destruction, and many there be which go in thereat. So what does that mean? Remember, we had two different meanings of straight. So what straight is this? This straight they give you in the Greek. It comes on the G2476. That's the straight. That means you must stand up and come and stand as I put you in to make straight. That means this straight that you're reading here in English, it should have the GH, but they didn't put the GH because they want you to be straightened. Of Jeremiah chapter. What was that chapter? 19. Yeah. That's what straight they want you to submit yourself to. They left out the GH here because they will leave out God's house as you come to the straight gate. But that's not 13. See, this 13 is not God's house. That's probably going to lead to destruction.
Wow.
The straight gate that you come to is in 14 by noon. Read 13. Now you read 13. Let me read that again. Enter ye in at the straight gate. For wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leads to destruction. And many there be which go in thereat. They are going to be destroyed going through that straight gate. Because they don't know the difference from the GH without the GH.
Wow.
With the GH, without the GH. Because you get straight. But with the GH, is verse 14, because straight is the gate and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it. Why? Because those few are going to be on with me and get the revelation of STRAIGHT and STRAIT. STRAIT are those in verse 13. STRAIGHT are God's house going to come in verse 14.
Wow.
Straight and straight. Now I straightened out the crooked. See, that was all crooked. That was all crooked. That's why I say beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. You shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles? Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. So watch him, because a good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit. Neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewed down and cast into the fire. The thorns were cast down. Wherefore by their fruits ye shall know them.
Yeah.
You got it?
Got it.
Now you know what straight is.
Mhm.
Let's straighten it out. Before we close, let's show what it is. H what?
846.
Mhm.
No, GZ 46.
It, IT, this title. This title, the title of this testimony as we close is Let's Straighten It Out. I put it in a emphasis with
Mhm.
half a parenthesis, half of a quote.
Yeah, I have a quote.
So who is it? I have to straighten himself out. I have to straighten out myself. I'm straightening out myself, himself, themselves. I'm straightening out himself, herself, themselves, itself, he, she, and it. I'm straightening out the same people that were with me before.
Yeah.
Under G846. Makes sense? Of course it does. I just straightened it out. Right? Lattimore. Lattimore. You want more? Let's go back to the ladder. But we'll do that next time. But for now, we pray that you are able to learn something. Teach, taught, learn, know. Now I teach, now I taught this testimony. I pray you learn because now you know. Praise you.
Praise you.
And that's all I have to say.